Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from whom to rule well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Unto you I say shalom. Coming to you back on another lesson through the Spirit, and I'm entitled this one, Esau is trying to be like the Most High. And who is Esau? Edom in the scriptures will be no other today than the self-proclaimed white man, that he's put that title upon himself, so he's justified in doing what he's doing by taking over all the different nations, enslaving them through Christianity, Roman Catholicism, going around to different parts of the earth and either taking their resources or telling them to bow down, and if they don't, then he uses the sword, he uses that force, that physical force, so they could bow the knee. For example, over there in Libya, Iraq, and now he's trying to take over Iran, same thing. But ultimately, because what Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is trying to do, he's trying to have complete control over not just the resources, but the minds of the people, how they're moving around the world, what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're eating. And you already have a glimpse of that by this new AI being installed and put up everywhere around the world, especially here in America, Babylon the Great, because you already have a social credit system over there in China that's going to be the prototype for the rest of the world, where if you don't comply with the government, if you don't like what they're saying, you can't speak against it. Because here in the land of America, the U.S., Babylon, the Great Mystery Babylon, you could get away, quote unquote, get away with free speech. But even that is being censored down. You can no longer talk about the small hats, the tiny caps, the 48ers, because ultimately what Esau, Edom is trying to do, he's trying to just have complete control of the minds of these people. And he's already pretty much at that point where he just needs that black swan event where he's going to be justified in shutting everything down and pushing and implementing digital ID, where everybody's going to have a digital ID, because we got to know who you are, know what you're doing, and know that you're not a T-word, a terrorist. And also by having them take that MOTB, that RFID microchip, which if you don't have it, you're not going to be able to buy and sell. You're not going to be able to participate in society, which pretty much leads to you got to go to Esau, Edom for the one of all things. And we already do, but ultimately we know that it's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai providing through Esau, through these careers, jobs, that allow us to get our daily bread. But all that's about to be done away with very soon, because Esau, Edom is going to implement rations. He's going to implement a social credit system where if you don't behave, quote unquote, behave properly the way that the wicked elite are telling you to do, then you're going to be cut off from society. And this is the times we're coming into. AI is already pretty much set up. The infrastructure is already set up. You already have these data centers all over. You have the 5G towers, the 6G towers, whatever you want to call them. People already have that juice, the C19 juice inside of them. So all that's left is for this devil to implement that MOTB, which is the RFID microchip. But the whole world is starting to find out what this devil's plans are. The whole world, even his own people, the Edomites, the self-proclaimed white people. So he's exposed on all sides. Everybody knows his plan, but ultimately he knows that these people aren't going to comply. So what is he going to attack? He's going to attack the food supply. He's going to attack the food, the water, and that's going to lead to famine, which people are going to be begging for a solution. He's going to be He's going to offer that solution, which is going to be that MOTB. This is Jeremiah 49 and verse 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. So this is the time where we're in now. Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, has been made bare. The whole world is starting to find out the plans of this devil, that he's not quote-unquote white, which means pure, because he's a complete opposite of white, of pure. He's a real quote-unquote black, because he's void of light. He's void of understanding by the way that he's trying to implement his NWO. He's trying to put a RFID microchip inside the whole world so he could see what people are doing, what they're thinking, what their heart rate is, how many times they went to the restroom, how many times they had sex, because he wants to be like Yahweh Bashim Shai, but he's not going to be successful with his NWO plan. Like it says in Job chapter 20, when he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh Bashim Shai is going to rain that great wrath upon him. And he's going to allow him to set his NWO up, but only so far. That's when the Lord is going to have to, Yahweh is going to send Yahweh Shai back to deliver his remnant and his elect and bring the devil down. But first, he does have to implement his MOTB system, the RFID microchip. That's why he's moving with speed, because he knows that he has a short time, like it says in Revelation chapter 12. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So his own pride has deceived the self-proclaimed white man, Esau, Edom, the one that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock. Who's the one who sets up all these buildings, skyscrapers, downtown in every major city is Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, letting you know who's ruling in these last days, who the devil is, the deceiver is Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, because he's the only one who's openly speaking against Yahweh Bashim Shai. What's that devil's name? Noah, Yuval Harari, the right-hand man of Klaus Schwab. They're straight up telling you that water is not a human right. It's not a human necessity, that water should be controlled. Food should be controlled. And this is what the world is coming to, because ultimately Esau, Edom is trying to be like Yahweh Bashim Shai. He's trying to have complete control of every single little thing. He's trying to have his eyes, his surveillance, his cameras all over the world, like Yahweh Bashim Shai, like the angels, like the eyes of the Most High, which are the angels. That's what he's trying to do on the left-hand side, but his plan is failing miserably. Here, AI was supposed to work, make the world better, but it's only making it worse. It's only slowing down, these jobs, these warehouses and corporate offices that AI was supposed to make it more efficient. It's only slowing it down, because like it says, wisdom no more found in Teman, which is meaning Esau, Edom, the wise man of the self-proclaimed white man. And the answer is no. This devil is running out of wisdom. That's why his psyops are being called out more quickly. Everybody's calling this devil out, including his own people, because his time of ruling upon the planet Earth is just about up. But Esau, Edom, is going to get his NWO plan up and running until the Lord brings that great wrath upon his devil. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. And who was the mascot of the U.S.? The national mascot, the eagle. It says, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai. And he set his nest, which is representing all these satellites. You got Elon Musk with the Starlink, and they're claiming they went to the moon. It's all lies, because Yahweh Bashim Shai is allowing his devil to be deceived. Like it says, the deceiver and the deceiver are his. The Lord is putting it upon the mind of this devil. He's hardening his heart, like Pharaoh So he thinks that he's going to get away with his NWO, that he's going to be successful, that he's not going to get, brought down. But it's all the will of Yahweh Bashim Shai that's playing out. It's not the will of Esau. He thinks that, I'm setting up all these data centers and AI infrastructure. No, it's the Lord allowing the devil to do that. So, like it says, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. It's going to be a hard fall for this devil. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8. And then shall the wicked be revealed. The Edomites, the self-proclaimed white people. It says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. The prophets, the mouthpiece of Yahweh Bashim Shai, his servants, the prophets, that are calling this devil out straight to his face, calling out the wicked elite, banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, straight up telling this devil that his plan is not going to work, that Yahweh Bashim Shai is going to intervene and throw that monkey wrench. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. And who's the one that's going to bring this devil down? Is Yahweh Shai. He's the one that's going to bring this devil down from his high position, deliver his remnant, his elect, and destroy America, Babylon the Great. That's going to lead to the downfall of this kingdom. It's going to lead to the downfall of Esau, Edom, along with his NWO plan, his AI infrastructure, his AI surveillance, because he's trying to be like the Most High, but the Lord is not going to allow it. Verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all powers, signs, and lying wonders. And that's how he's going to get a lot of people to comply. He's going to tell them, you need this digital ID. You need to put this RFID microchip, this MOTB inside of you, because we got to know what everybody's doing. Because that's what he's going to be justified in using, if it's a terrorist attack, an attack where a large amount of people get deleted. He's going to be like, okay, we need this order out of chaos that we caused. Now we got the solution for you, but that's the devil. That's what he uses. He uses order out of chaos. He causes the chaos and then he brings the order, just like he did in 2020. He shut everything down and then he brought the juice and used it as a solution. And that's what he's about to do again. He's about to cause the problem and then offer the solution, because that's all Esau Edom does. He was created to be the devil. Verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So the 2/3 of our people, these heathens, they're going to comply with this NWO, because they weren't given the Holy Spirit to understand that Esau Edom is not going to rule forever, that Yahweh Bashim Shai is about to bring them down. And they're going to be taken by this AI infrastructure, by the MOTB, the CBDCs, the universal basic income, because it's going to sound good to them. He's going to be like, okay, we need to surveil everybody, make sure there's no terrorists, there's no attacks on U.S. soils again, no attacks around the world. So that's what he's going to use to be justified. That's going to give him the excuse, okay, we need to surveil everybody because we don't want another attack to happen. This is Isaiah 14 and verse 12, and it reads, How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? And this is not talking about no fight in the heaven, Lucifer and his angels. No, this is talking about a man. Who's the ones who are calling them the illuminated ones? The light bearers of the world. The Illuminati, which are the elite banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. And then you have the lower luminaries like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. But these are the Lucifers of the world as of now, because they have the quote unquote light. They know what is going to happen around the world and what their plans is, while the rest of the world is in complete darkness. Even their own nation, the Joe Sixpack, the trailer park Edomite trash, It says, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? And how did he weaken the nations? He went around, imposed his democracy, his US dollar, his embassies around the world, his military bases, and pretty much said, okay, we're going to protect you, quote unquote. But it was all a lie. It was to take their resources, take their goods, because he's a devil. That's what he was created to do, to just steal, grape, murder, rob. That's why Yahweh Bashmiel Shah is going to bring the devil down. It says verse 13, for thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High, and I will sit up on a mount of the congregation and in the sides of the north. And that's what he did, with the painting over the images during the Renaissance period, to make himself to be in that image of I'm the Most High. The image of the Most High and his only begotten son is a so-called white man, an Edomite. But it was all a lie. Now that the truth is out, now the world is starting to find out that the self-proclaimed white man is a piece of shit, that he's a liar, he's a killer. All he does is just cause destruction around the world. But through the Renaissance period and painting over the images, like it says in Job chapter 9 and verse 24, he deceived the nations with that quote unquote being white as a cloak, of maliciousness, to allow him to go around the world and I'm white, I'm the chosen people of the Most High. But it was all a lie. But that's why the Lord is exposing this devil. He's exposing his plan, and he's about to bring him down. It says, verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? So that's what everybody's going to say, all these heathen nations. The elect, the remnant of Yahweh Bashmiel Shah, the whole nation of Israel, they're going to look down upon this devil like, damn, this is the one who had complete control of the world, who had the grip on everybody, had the squeeze, had the majority of the world with an RFID microchip with the MOTB. He had cameras all up on you. He had the suit and tie. He was the CEO of a Fortune 5 company, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. This is he now, in chains, dusty as all hell, musty as all hell. But this is what's going to happen to Esau, even for trying to be like Yahweh Bashmiel Shah. And like the Lord says, I alone, and, like it says in Deuteronomy chapter 30, 39. It says, I am he, and there is no other like me. Yahweh Bashmiel Shah is the soul and living power, but these people are about to find out. This is Psalms chapter 2 and verse 2. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against the anointed, saying, verse 3, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to escape slavery, escape their end, which is slavery. Verse 4, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have him in derision. So the Yahweh Bashmiel Shah is laughing at these devils, trying to be like him, put cameras everywhere, AI infrastructure to have complete, surveillance on everybody. It says, verse 5, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Verse 6, yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion, and I will declare the decree. The Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shah hath said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And that's Yahweh Shah. That's who's going to bring this devil down and take these devils and put them in chains. Verse 8, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. So ultimately, that's the only thing that the devil has coming, is slavery. He's not going to be successful with his NWO and putting a digital infrastructure around the world and having surveillance on everybody for eternity. No, that's not going to work. The only thing that's going to work is the will of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, which is to establish the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be ruled by the nation of Israel, and to have the heathen nations under subjection. That's the only thing that's actually going to happen. Not no self-proclaimed white man, Esau, Edom ruling for eternity. No, that's that's not going to happen. But that's pretty much the point. I pray that this was edifying unto the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all in this truth from do well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect, and to USA Shalom.